is going on, YouTube? The Assist Man. I'm coming back at you guys with another Neverwinter YouTube video. Inside of this video, man, I got some great information and some new information for you guys. So definitely sit back and watch this entire video because I'm going to showcase a bunch of changes to some of the companions and the artifacts in Mod 16 and tell you which ones that I think could be very sought after and go up in price in Mod 16 because some of them were buffed. Just kind of like what happened in Mod 14 to Mod 15, some of the companions that are in the game now are not too good now, but in Mod 16, they get a lot better. And there might be some of them that you actually want to use, so I'm trying to prepare you guys now. So if you guys do enjoy this video, please take a moment right now and make sure you hit that thumbs up like button. It greatly helps me out. Also, if you have not subscribed to my channel, like I always ask, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well and turn on notifications. Like I always say, subscribing to me on YouTube is absolutely free. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, what I do want to talk about first is artifacts. There was a lot of nerfs to artifacts in Mod 16. As a matter of fact, there is a lot of nerfs to a lot of things in Mod 16, but primarily some of the artifacts that many of us are using right now to do more damage or to buff if you're a cleric or a tank or a buffing class, they got drastically changed and they're probably not going to be that good anymore. So I do want to show you guys some of the artifacts that definitely caught a nerf. And the first one I'm going to show on the screen right here, and these are all screenshots I'm showing you from Mod 16. The first one I'm going to show you here on the screen is the Thirst artifact. A lot of people were using this because of its 16% debuff. Well, if you look at the use tip on the artifact, you can see that now the Thirst artifact got nerfed. It does no longer do a 16% buff. It now only does a 10%. So this got nerfed by 6%. So the Thirst is probably not the actual buff debuff artifact you want to use if you're doing that class. Another thing that caught a massive nerf in Mod 16, I'm showing it on the screen right now, the bread and butter of all DPS classes, the Soul Sight Crystal. It used to say the target takes 50% additional damage from your attacks for 10 seconds. Well, look at the use tip on it now. The target takes 25% additional damage from your attacks for 10 seconds. This thing got nerfed by 50%. Only does 25 now instead of 50. I don't think that this is going to be the best artifact to use for DPS classes going forward in the game in Mod 16. The best one, I think, and I talked about this in the past, I've made a video about this, is this artifact right here, the Decanter of Atropal Essence. Now, this is already the best AoE artifact in the game, hands down. But I firmly believe that in Mod 16, this will probably be the best single target and AoE artifact in the game, hands down, because it did not get a nerf. It did not change. It still says, grant you the boon of Atropal buff for 20 seconds. This causes your powers to deal an additional 2,000 damage on each hit. So every single time you attack, you add an additional 2,000 damage on top of each hit. Also, every time you deal damage while you're under the boon of the Atropal, the duration of the boon of Atropal is increased by 10 seconds to a total of 30 seconds. And you gain 1% more damage that stacks up to 10 times. So like I said, I've already covered this artifact in the past. I have a video about it on my channel if you want to go back about 2 months ago. But basically what this artifact does is it adds 2,000 damage to each and every single one of your hits, and it gives you 10% increased damage for a total of 30 seconds. I'd much rather have 10% more damage for 30 seconds plus 2,000 damage per hit than 25% damage for 10 seconds. So, yeah, I think that the Decanter of Atropal Essence is probably going to be the best overall DPS artifact to use in the game in Mod 16. If you don't have one of these, they're pretty rare. You can only get them from one place in the game, and that's Cradle of the Death God, and they only come out of the chest at the end, and they're not easy to obtain. So if you don't have one now, make sure you have one going into Mod 16. The last thing I want to cover is something else that caught a nerf. Some of you guys are probably already aware of this, some of you guys are not. The Wheel of Elements got nerfed as well. Now the Wheel of Elements, for the fire bonus that it does, only increases damage by 5%. It used to be, I think, 20%. So it got a massive nerf. So the Wheel of Elements, the fire buff on the wheel now only gives you a 5% damage buff. So now for you people that like to use the buff debuff artifacts, the Thirst has been nerfed. The Wheel of Elements has been nerfed. Another one that actually got nerfed, I'm going to show you on the screen right now, is the Heart of the Black Dragon. A lot of people for buffing and debuffing classes, clerics, tanks, were also using the Heart of the Black Dragon, and it got nerfed as well. As you see at the bottom of the use tip, it says acid damage every second for 6 seconds and takes 6% additional damage for the duration. I believe that this used to do 16% additional damage, and I believe it used to last for like 10 seconds. So not only did this get, massively nerfed in the amount of damage that the enemies will take, it also got nerfed on the duration that it lasts for. So, almost all of the buffing and debuffing artifacts in the game got nerfed. Heart of the Black Dragon, nerfed. Thirst, nerfed. Wheel of Elements, fire bonus, nerfed. But there is one. There is one that did not get nerfed. And if you are a buffing class, a cleric or a tank, you want to help your team, I firmly believe that this might be the best artifact to use in Mod 16 for the buffing classes. And you could pick it up in the game right now. It's another one of those artifacts that it's not easy to obtain because it only comes from like 1 or 2 spots in the game. And it is the Charm of the Serpent. As you can see, its use tip says, release a devastating attack dealing a certain amount of damage that will scale with your level to all enemies in a cone and increases their damage taken by 16%. So the Charm of the Serpent does 16% now in Mod 15. In Mod 16, as you can see, the Charm of the Serpent will also do 16% more damage as a buff debuff to the enemies. Also, the other good thing about the Charm of the Serpent is it is one of the only artifacts that buffs and debuffs that actually has power on it as well. So with this artifact, you get power, armor pen, and critical resist, making it 3 things that everybody will need. So this was a heads up about the artifacts. I hope you guys took everything in I said. These are all screenshots from Mod 16's preview server. Now I want to go ahead and get into companions. A lot of companions in the game, almost all of them, got severely nerfed. The ones we're currently using now are not going to be the ones we're currently going to be using in Mod 16. A lot of them got massively nerfed. The Cholton Tiger got nerfed. All of the Archons, the Fire Archon, the Earth Archon, the Air Archon, they all got nerfed. But some companions in the game that are currently in the game now receive some massive buffs, and I think they're going to go up in value a lot. I think a lot of other people do as well because they already have started to go up in value on Xbox, but you still want to grab these, I believe, if you don't have them, because you're going to have to swap out some companions in Mod 16, and some of them are actually really, really good. So I'm going to show some of them on the screen, which I think could be some of the best companions in Mod 16. And once again, these are all tooltips, and what you're seeing on the screen is the tooltips from Mod 16. The first one I want to talk about is the Stalwart Golden Lion. It says the enhancement power is a chance on hit to increase your defense by 2,000 and your companion's damage by 4% for 15 seconds when your companion is near. But the good part about this, it says player bonus power. 50% chance on companion power use to apply a stack of Celestial Lion's Presence to you. And what does Celestial Lion's Presence do? It grants you 8% additional damage as radiant damage for 10 seconds. So, there are not many companions at all. There's literally a handful of them in Mod 16 that still have either a damage percentage or a critical severity percentage on them. And I do believe that those will be some of the most sought after companions, because mostly all the other companions in the game now, they just say they'll increase your defense by 2,000 or your accuracy by 1,500 or this and that. but not many of them have percentage-based modifiers. This stalwart golden lion does. So this is a companion I think could be very, very good in Mod 16 because it has a 50% chance of granting you a stack of radiant damage that will allow you to do 8% additional damage as radiant damage. So this is definitely a good one to be running in Mod 16. The next one that I want to talk about, and I've talked about this in a couple videos I did ago, and the price of these things has shot up. And it is what I truly believe will probably be the best in-slot companion to use in Mod 16. It is the Bear Cub. It says chance on hit to reduce the enemy's critical avoidance by 2,000 for 15 seconds. But the big thing is player bonus power. If you fail to critically hit, you have a 10% chance to do an additional hit for damage equal to 40% of your power. This is really, really big because in the next mod, our crit chance is going to be much, much lower, and we're not going to be critting that much. So to have a companion that will allow you to do an additional hit for 40% of your power is substantial. And a lot of you guys that are on consoles now, you think that this thing got nerfed. It didn't. If you look at the tooltip on the consoles right now, it says on encounter use, which means on consoles right now in Mod 15, it only works on encounters. But as you see by the tooltip in Mod 16, it says if you fail to critically hit, you have a 10% chance to do an additional hit for damage equal to 40% of your power. It does not say on encounter use, which means it works on all hits. At wills, dailies, encounters, the whole nine. We're going to be hitting a lot with our at wills, so this 10% chance is going to be happening a lot. Now, another thing I want to mention, I did not mention it already, is these tooltips you're seeing on the Stalwart Golden Lion and on the Bear Cub is showing it with the companions at the epic purple state. In Mod 16, legendary companions actually have more stats and get more modifiers. Currently in Mod 15, the difference between an epic companion and a legendary companion was only the amount of stats they have in the color and the item level. That's not the case in Mod 16. In Mod 16, for instance, this Bear Cub on the screen, if you have it at Legendary, it does 10% chance to do an additional hit for 50% of your power. So at Legendary, the Bear Cub goes up to 50% of your power. At Legendary, the Stalwart Lion goes from 8% radiant damage to 10% radiant damage. When you upgrade companions to Legendary now, they gain higher stats. So guys, the Bear Cub, to me, it's going to be the one I'm going to be using. I'm just saying, they're pretty freaking rare, and I think it might be the best in slot companion to be using as your active summon companion. Now, all the other ones I'm going to show you, including the Stalwart Golden Lion, these are still ones you can use as your summon companion, but you do have five companion things you're going to be able to use, so it's definitely still good to look at some of these other ones and pick them up as well. The next one that caught a buff, man, in Mod 16 is a weird one called a Death Slod. It says chance on hit to reduce enemies' accuracy by 2,000. But look at the player bonus power. It has a 10% chance to infect your target with a poison it doesn't show the weapon damage number. For me, it just shows 0. So who knows what this is going to be? But it says it stacks up to 5 times. Then it says after the 5th stack, it explodes into a storm of poison, damaging all enemies within a 15-foot radius. I don't know about you, but that sounds kind of good to me. I mean, a 10% chance to infect your target with a poison that might do 40%, 50% weapon damage, and it stacks up to 5 times, and then explodes into a storm of poison, damaging all enemies in a 15-foot radius with no cooldown? Sounds kind of good. Maybe you guys should be looking into some of these death slots. The next one I want to talk about is called the Sly Blade Kobold. This, and like I said, that death slot I showed you was only at green, which means at blue, purple, and legendary, it gets a lot better. This Sly Blade Kobold I'm showing you is only at blue. But look at the player bonus power on this Sly Blade Kobold. It says increases encounter damage against disabled or held targets by 100%. That's pretty big. Only if you're a class that can actually disable or hold a target with encounters, but this thing You know, it's kind of big, man. An extra 100% encounter damage. Now, I don't know what classes are going to be able to disable or held targets, but I guess we'll find out more. But the Slide Blade Cobalt, if you could just look at by the tooltip, compared to what it does now in Mod 15, caught a pretty substantial buff. Another companion that caught a pretty substantial buff, going back to, like I said, there's not many companions in the game that give you a % damage or a % critical severity increase. But this is another one that got buffed. The Traveling Entertainer. It says chance on hit to increase you and your companion's critical severity by 4%. And this is only at green, which means at legendary, it might increase your critical severity and your companion's critical severity by maybe 8 or 10%. So the Traveling Entertainer, which is has been a really cheap companion in Mod 15, it just caught a massive buff, as you can see. Let's go into another one that's like the same exact thing. The Swashbuckler. It has the exact same power. It says chance on hit to increase you and your companion's critical severity by 4%. And it also says on taking critical damage, it increases your critical strike by 2,500 for 5 seconds. Another just not sought after companion in the game now that caught another massive buff in Mod 16. So you guys might want to be picking up some of these because, if you, especially for DPS characters, if you're looking at doing some damage, I mean, why not slot, 3 or 4 of these companions that give this 4% extra crit severity? That's only at green. If these things give you 10% more crit severity at legendary, I mean, if you slot 3 of these things, like the Swashbuckler, the Traveling Entertainer, and the other ones I'm going to show you, that's going to increase your critical severity by 30%, which is pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and get into another companion that caught a buff as well in Mod 16, and this one is another good one, and it's the Panther. It says chance on hit to increase you and your companion's critical severity by 4%. So another one of those, but look at the player bonus power of this one as well. This one got 2 really good buffs. It says increases the power of your at-will attacks against rooted targets by 8%. I don't know what classes will root targets, but I'm pretty sure that the Hunter Ranger will. So this Panther could be possibly a best-in-slot, companion for Hunter Rangers. You never know, but it definitely caught a big buff to what it says now in Mod 15. Let's go ahead and look at another one, the Boar. It says chance on hit to increase your accuracy by 2,000 and your companion's accuracy by 4%. But look at the player bonus power. It gives you 1% more crit severity and plus 500 deflect. And this is only at green. Once you upgrade this thing to legendary, it probably gives you 5 or 6 or 8% critical severity and probably 2,000 or 3,000 deflection. So this is another companion that got a massive buff in Mod 16. And let's go ahead and take a look at the last one that I found. And this is another big one. It is called the Energon. And this is in the game now. It says chance on hit to increase your deflect by 2,000 and your companion's dodge by 4% for 15 seconds. Guys, in the new mod, survivability is going to be a key thing. Defense, hit points, and deflection is going to be a key thing, especially hit points. And look at the player bonus power on this Energon. It has 24,000 more maximum hit points. By slotting this companion, you will get 24,000 more max hit points. In Mod 15, currently now, you can buy this, and the tooltip in Mod 15 says, increases your hit points by 5%. Well, even if you had, which most players don't have, even if you had 300,000 hit points, 5% of 300,000 hit points is only 15,000. So this thing got massively buffed because now it gives you 24,000. In order to get 5%, you'd have to have 480,000 hit points now to get the 5%. This thing got massively buffed in Mod 16. 24,000 hit points is a ton. And I don't have a picture of it, but another companion that I've seen people using too as well that got massively buffed, I think it was purple I seen somebody using it, was the Man at Arms. I believe the Man at Arms companion at purple gave like 20,000 max hit points and like 5,000 defense. It was insane. So the Man-at-Arms could be another companion to look into as well. So I hope I educated you guys, gave you guys some ideas and information about companions and artifacts that either got nerfed or massively buffed in Mod 16. So a lot of the things I showed you, like the Charm of the Serpent artifact, the Decanter of Atropolescence artifact, those things I think will be much sought after and probably go up in price now. The other things will probably go down. The companions I showed you in the game should, be more rare because they got buffed for Mod 16. So if some of these things interest you that these companions do, make sure you pick them up, man, while they're still semi-affordable on the market. Because a lot of people are buying them out, including myself, because I want to have a couple of them to test out on my different characters as well. So anyway, man, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I know it was a long one, but once again, a lot of useful information. If you guys haven't hit that thumbs up like already, make sure you do so. And if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you do so as well. And just to let you know, LeBron James is probably going to go down to be better than Michael Jordan. So anyway, YouTube, this is the Assist Man, and until next time, I am out.